Hi guys, I wasn't planning on showing you anything from my African night crawlers, but I just opened the bin to check on it for myself and flipped over one corner, and I was very surprised by what I saw. I can only do it with one hand, but I'm going to repeat it so you can see. I'm going to try to do it with one hand this time. If I can. Let's see. Which is, look at these babies, guys. Look at them all. Now, you remember I showed you a ton of African nightcrawler babies a couple of weeks ago from a hatchling explosion. And that little bin right there, the little blue one, that's where they all went. I started a new bin. And this is in the main, or one of the main bins. And there are so many. There's so many. I mean, look at this. Here's another cluster. What is going on with the Africans? Oh my goodness. The only thing, I used to separate them a lot more. I used to take, the adults, and I would move them out and take them away from the babies. I was always afraid of overcrowding because the adults are so big. And, since Halloween, more or less, because I've had different visitors and whatnot, I've been doing a much more relaxed care regimen on my worms in general, and I haven't moved out babies except for the one hatched, mass hatching you saw that I filmed, where I showed you I had like an entire cup of babies. But I moved those out, and it's happened again in only not even 2 weeks, and I don't think that's going to be all of them. Look at this. It's insane. Look at all these baby African nightcrawlers. I've never seen so many of this particular breed hatch at once. Let me see. Let me grab another clump of stuff and see if it continues. Yes, it does. Look at this. Oh my goodness. What on earth is going on with the Africans? Oh boy. I wonder if there's any down on this side. Yes, there is. See them right in here. Some older hatchlings. Look at her crawling up my hand. Let's look at some of the adults. Are obviously happy about something. Let's see where all the adults are. A mass of babies. Look at this. And a sprout. Of course, there's always sprouts growing in my bins because I feed so many beans. The African nightcrawlers absolutely love beans. Oh my goodness, it's one of their favorite foods, the dried beans. I put the whole pods in from my garden, and they break open, or they break them open, and they sprout. But the ones that don't sprout kind of get soggy or mushy, and the worms go crazy over those. The mushy beans. I don't know why. They don't smell very good, the mushy beans. Okay, so that is clearly the baby end. And got some more sprouts here. Let's see. It's got to be mommy and daddy end around here somewhere. It's another bin that is completely out of food. Look how pretty these worms are. Look at how beautiful they are. They have such lovely coloring. I never get enough of. They're such unique. That's an awful long sprout. Oh my goodness. I'm very impressed with that sprout. That sprout wanted out. It started at the bottom and it wasn't going to stop until it got to the top. That's quite funny to me. Another bin that is really dry. I'm actually glad I peeked in here because it should not be this dry. But this bin is right up against, it's over there on that wall, right up against a baseboard heater. So the same as the other bins. Every other bin I've looked at today, completely depleted of food, so they're scattered everywhere, just foraging on carbon rather than dining on something. So I think I'm just going to start synchronizing all my bins and picking one day a week to feed them, because I've gotten a lot more bins in the last couple of months. I've really upped my bin number. It's pretty much quadrupled, and I can no longer be a little bit lax about feeding them or checking moisture, because it can be a costly mistake. I mean, worms are pretty forgiving, actually. They wouldn't just die as soon as it got a little dry, but I want to make sure that they are doing the best they can do for me, because I'm doing the best I can do for them. So if I'm going to take them and keep them in a container, then I have to make sure I'm meeting their needs. I'm still looking for the rest of the adults, but again, they are scattered. They are all over this bin. And I took a couple dozen of these and added them to the urban worm bag too. See the castings. See a little baby in there as well. Look, it looks like it has eyes. I know that's the lighting, but oh my gosh, that blue worm looks like it has eyes on it because of the lighting. Not blue worm, I'm sorry, African Nightcrawler. Yeah, they're all kind of clinging to where the moisture is because there's so little moisture in here. Really do need to get some more bubble wrap, but because it's bad for the economy, bad for the ecosystem, a lot less companies are shipping with it, which is good. So I may have to just buy a small container and cut a piece for each of the bins. Yeah, they're just kind of clinging down here, clinging to the bottom, hanging out with the youngins. Maybe they're giving them some bedtime stories because it's getting to be close to that time. Oh, for the worms anyway, not to me. Yeah, so there's plenty of adults in here. They're just scattered. But I just cannot believe the number of babies. I am going to have to start several more African Nightcrawler bins, or come up with one really big bin. I do have a huge container in my basement that I'm considering turning into a worm bin, so it may be for these guys. I really thought it would be for something like the Euros or red wigglers, but to see how these are breeding, and all these little sprouts, again, they're chia seeds. I showed on another video how I made way too much chia seed mixture when I was planting a chia pet. So I just added the rest into the worm bins, and it just sprouted right away. And the worms love it. So So again, you can see the castings up close with lots and lots of very healthy, happy worms in here. I don't know. It's they're in a breeding frenzy the last. Oh, look at this. These are not Indian blue worms. It looks like it because of the ball. These are not Indian blue worms. These are African nightcrawlers, and these are babies. Can you believe this? I've never, ever before seen a ball of African nightcrawler babies. You can see the color in the clear tail sign, the line down their back that all the youngins have, and even the adults, although the hue is a little bit hard to see as they get darker. But these are, and that's why they're not spazzing out. If these were Indian blue worms, they would be going insane. These are African nightcrawler babies in a worm ball. Well, folks, that's a first for me. And this right here that they're all congregated around, that is some of that worm chow that I showed you in my blue bin. And see how slow and calm and methodical they're moving. Now, if I had done this with Indian blue worms, oh my goodness, would they be whipping all over the place. They would be going insane. And you could see some of them are like this one here. It's not very old, but you see how long it's getting already. Hey, come back here. For a very young worm, see how skinny it is, but see how long it is. Those are Africans, all right. Well, that's a first for me. I've never seen an African nightcrawler worm ball. Look at the length of these babies. These babies are long. It's pretty darn impressive. So I see a bean in the middle. I told you how much they like beans. And I saw that little piece of worm chow over here, which is about all that's left in here. And then I stumbled on this, which, well, I've separated it up now, but let's see if I can grab some more of it up. It's a first. It's an absolute first for me. I mean, I've seen African nightcrawlers in a group or in a feeding zone, but I've never seen a baby ball of African nightcrawlers, or a ball of babies. Not a baby ball, a ball of babies. Or a ball of baby ball? Baby ball? Not sure how you say that. I know what I'm thinking, I just can't get the words out. Pretty cool. I'm going to mark the date on the side of this bin and keep an eye on these guys, because these guys are here. I mean, can you try to guess how many are here? What would you estimate? Of course, now I've scattered a bunch, but I can't put a number on it. This is not all of them. You saw all of them I flipped over up front. You can see how long they're getting. And of course, you got the one end bigger than the other as they start to develop into their true selves, true wormy selves. My goodness. Well, that's one that I've never encountered before. I've never seen them hatch to the point where they make a worm ball. Did you do it? Are you the responsible party? Well, I might have done one or two. I didn't do all of them. You can see. You see on the bottom? You see the line going down the middle? That's the line I was just showing you on those babies, but it's much harder to see on the adult because the babies don't have the dark tone to them yet. Well, so let me turn this around. This is one to remember. I know I'm going on and on about that, but I've just never seen it before. And when I felt it, I really thought I found a bunch of adults, which is here. But, it was the babies. A baby African Nightcrawler ball. You can see as I'm pulling the adults out, all the babies that are clinging to the soil and to the adults as well. Oh my goodness. Well, I love these worms. I really do. They're finally showing me how impressive they can be. I mean, they've always been impressive in terms of length. Every generation has gotten longer and longer. I think I'm going to need another type of container soon. So I think, yeah, that very large container I have in the basement, I am going to... It's a 55-gallon Rubbermaid tub. It's a square tote box, like, I don't know, one of these or one of those over there. But it's 55 gallons. It is huge. I don't remember when I bought it, but it is empty. And I said, well, this would be a pretty cool thing. I could do something like Plant Obsess. Her, I think she calls it the Big Blue. It's the 55-gallon barrel that she does as a wedge method. Feeds, at one end, and the opposite end is always where it's collected from. I could do that with the 55-gallon Rubbermaid tub. And I really didn't think these guys would ever have enough volume to make it make sense in there. But I'm wrong. So this is what we just looked at. Plus what we looked at the beginning. These guys are going to go crazy in numbers. Oh, look at them. So cute. So in what I just showed you, when they grow up, now remember, African nightcrawlers have the ability to breed 50 to 60 days from hatching. So that beautiful little ball we just saw can be something this long or longer or shorter. They don't have to be full length to be sexually mature. They just have to be, they're just sexually mature. 50 to 60 days. So in less than 2 months, that adorable little ball of worms are going to be making an adorable ball of worms. I don't know. Maybe it's the beans. What's in those beans? All right. Well, I am just going on and on now because it's just not something I've seen before, and I know there's other people here that are going to also be interested in it. I'm also really checking the castings, and they look really, really nice to me. But no matter where I flip my fingers around, there's babies. I guess leaving the babies with the parents is the right thing to do, because that just made everything go. I really thought taking them out was the right thing to do. But in this instance, it was not. All right, well, come spring, I'm going to be having some African nightcrawlers for sale, that's for sure. If anybody wants to be put on the list, let me know. All you got to do is feed them beans and chia seeds. Actually, they're the least fussy worms I've ever had. They don't ever flee. They don't ever climb out. They don't really care what I feed them. They're so docile. I've never, ever had one on the floor. No, I changed that. The day I got them, they were panicky. And when I put them in a container way too small, some had climbed out, but I was there and caught them before they died. But I've never had one die on the floor, and other than the day that I received them, I've never had one crawl out, but none of my worms crawl out. I guess it's just they have a stable atmosphere or whatever it is. I mean, there's been a few times that I've made mistakes and the worms were unhappy and crawled out earlier on in my worm raising times, but now that I've kind of got a handle on each particular worm variety, what they need, and more importantly, what they don't need. For example, these African nightcrawlers, there's two things they hate. They hate pomegranates and they hate beets, the root vegetable beets. And if you put either in their bin, at least in my bin, my worms, they will go as far to the other end as they can and avoid it like the plague. I'm just reaching in the bottom, and all I'm pulling out is, you can see on my pinky there's a cocoon at the end. All I'm pulling out is more babies. I'm gonna need another container. All right, well, this turned out to be really long. I just wanted to show you the hatchlings, and then I stumbled upon a African worm ball, and I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm actually glad I got to film it and share it here and show you all the rest of them that are pretty much everywhere at this point. I'm going to go ahead and get some food for this bin and add just a little bit of moisture because I think it's fair to say there's some mouths to feed. I'm trying to find what I did with that worm ball. I mean, I'm sure it's scattered now, or at least mostly dispersed, but I was going to try to re-find it one more time to see, just because I wanted to see it again. But again, this is another one that's got a really good amount of material in it. All right, folks. Well, I'm sorry for making this so long. I'm sure I've lost the attention of a few of you by now, but I get so excited about these things and I just want to share it. So if you're still with me, thank you. And, well, this little worm here, or this big worm here, also says thank you. See you again soon. Have a good night.